Assessore regionale politiche giovanili, montane e aree interne, Igor Taruffi.
Sì, buongiorno a tutti. Ricevo un ringraziamento per l'invito, ovviamente, un ringraziamento al dottor Stefano Iseppi, amministratore delegato del Termini di Castel San Pietro. Vado, sì. L'Emilia Romagna è terra di terme, è una regione ricca di questa risorsa, importante risorsa, quindi credo che Castel San Pietro è una vetrina da questo punto di vista molto importante, una tra le più importanti della nostra regione, credo quindi sia il luogo ideale, insomma, per svolgere questo tipo di iniziativa, questa 2 giorni così significativa. Le terme, le acque termali sono anche e soprattutto un presidio sanitario, anche se hanno ovviamente tante potenzialità di sviluppo, possono essere utilizzate in tanti modi e sono evidentemente anche un volano dal punto di vista turistico, però sono anche e soprattutto un presidio sanitario e hanno ricadute, possono avere ricadute molto importanti anche dal punto di vista, visto che ci siamo lasciati alle spalle un periodo così complicato e ci stiamo lasciando alle spalle un periodo così complicato dal punto di vista della sanità pubblica, dell'impegno che la sanità pubblica ha dovuto mettere in campo per fronteggiare la pandemia, che peraltro non è ancora del tutto finita. Sappiamo che da questo punto di vista le acque termali, l'utilizzo di questo presidio sanitario possono avere effetti molto positivi anche sulla prevenzione, non di tutte le malattie ovviamente, ma possono dare un contributo importante per prevenire e per ridurre anche le spese sanitarie, perché i trattamenti delle acque termali sappiamo hanno benefici importanti sulla salute complessiva del nostro corpo e quindi possono avere anche questo importante sviluppo. E soprattutto, dicevo, anche da un punto di vista turistico, di promozione territoriale. Ho visto che tra gli elementi che stanno al centro di questa 2 giorni di lavoro c'è anche il rapporto con il territorio, con lo sviluppo di comprensori legati alle zone in cui sono presenti le stazioni termali, e io credo che questo sia un aspetto, un elemento molto importante che va valorizzato. Sappiamo che la coltivazione delle miniere, perché è così che sono definite dalla nostra legge regionale, che è una legge regionale del 1988, a dimostrazione del fatto che in questa regione c'è una tradizione molto importante da questo punto di vista, anzi quella legge forse andrebbe anche aggiornata, ma questo non è tema di dibattito attuale. Dicevo, la coltivazione e la cultura delle miniere di acque termali mettono in campo e richiedono una serie di interventi a 360 gradi, perché c'è appunto la coltivazione, la gestione, la manutenzione delle sorgenti termali, c'è la parte legata al presidio, alla valorizzazione del presidio sanitario che rappresentano le acque termali e ovviamente anche la promozione dal punto di vista turistico. Quindi in realtà quando parliamo di acque termali, quando parliamo di terme, stiamo parlando di un insieme di misure, di politiche che devono essere messe in campo e che toccano elementi strategici fondamentali della nostra società. E ovviamente parliamo anche di produzione interna lorda, cioè di fatturati, di posti di lavoro, di occupazione. Esistono realtà nel nostro territorio regionale che intorno alle stazioni termali hanno fatto crescere intere comunità, hanno garantito lo sviluppo di intere comunità e punto non indifferente anche dal punto di vista infrastrutturale, no? Perché alcune terme nel nostro territorio hanno rappresentato uno snodo fondamentale intorno al quale si sono poi creati anche reti infrastrutturali importanti, penso alla ferrovia e alle strade. E alcune stazioni termali hanno dato origine, insomma, al sviluppo anche da questo punto di vista. Quindi quando parliamo di sanità, quando parliamo di ambiente, perché la cura delle sorgenti termali è questo, quando parliamo di turismo, quando parliamo di infrastrutture e ovviamente anche, come dicevo, occupazione, lavoro e sviluppo, ecco, le terme sono tutto questo e credo che affrontarle dandogli un taglio sia scientifico, ovviamente dai tanti aspetti che le acque termali appunto possono garantire da questo punto di vista, ma tenendo presente anche l'impatto complessivo che la presenza delle acque termali e delle stazioni termali hanno sui territori, credo sia un aspetto molto importante, e il fatto che a questa 2 giorni, anzi 3 giorni se non sbaglio, arrivino realtà e delegazioni e rappresentanti di 22 paesi nel mondo è un'ulteriore opportunità per la nostra regione, per questo territorio, per farsi conoscere, per far conoscere la qualità delle nostre acque, la qualità del benessere anche emiliano-romagnolo, che è un elemento diciamo così qualificante della nostra regione, anche perché, dicevo prima, tra i tanti aspetti collegati poi alla presenza delle acque termali c'è anche ovviamente il benessere legato anche all'enogastronomia, altro elemento fondamentale del nostro territorio, non bisogna mai dimenticarlo, insomma. Quindi credo che quando si parla di terme si parla di tutto questo, e credo che sia giusto farlo appunto tenendo insieme tutti questi elementi. Nei ringraziamenti, e mi scuso, non l'ho fatto ma lo faccio adesso, ovviamente voglio ringraziare anche la consigliera regionale Francesca Marchetti, che diciamo, di Castel San Pietro è l'ambasciatrice unica nel mondo, direi, quindi la ringrazio sentitamente, ma per il lavoro che fa e per il contributo che porta sempre, insomma, a sostegno di questo territorio. Io vi ringrazio, vi auguro davvero buon lavoro e scusate se non ho parlato in inglese, ma diciamo così ci sono alcuni aspetti che vanno migliorati, c'è tempo per tutti, insomma, per migliorare. Vi ringrazio.
Thank you. Now, second scientific session, balneology in the world. And I ask Mr. Abbott.
Marco, you will speak or not?
I think it's recorded.
It's recorded, but you don't all speak?
I can give you. You want to?
You can say some more, but is it recorded? Is it recorded in the?
I believe so.
Okay.
I can just say however you like.
Okay, you can say some words, 5 minutes, 5 minutes.
Chiedo se possiamo fare...
Oh, thank you. Which is your language?
I speak with French.
French?
Text English.
French, text English,
Speak Italian.
and French to Italian. The translation French to Italian, is it possible?
French to Italian?
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
One.
French to Italian.
Ok, per la regia, allora francese, da francese a italiano.
Ho bisogno di qualche minuto però,
Francese italiano. Poi quando...
Ok, un attimo.
Sì. Slide. Condividiamo lo schermo. Condivisione schermo per la regia. Per le slide. Grazie.
Un attimo ancora, eh?
Ok.
Prova.
Ci siamo?
Ok.
Merci. Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je suis très heureux d'être avec vous. Merci, Monsieur Umberto, de cette invitation. Alors, je suis Ben Mahloub Mohamed, professeur universitaire en géologie et hydrogéologie à Rabat et bien sûr président de l'Association marocaine des sources thermo-minérales. Je vais exposer rapidement, bien sûr, le thermalisme au Maroc et son impact socio-économique sur la population locale. Donc, au Maroc, surtout au nord du Maroc, il y a d'importantes réserves d'eau thermale et géothermique, bien sûr, mais malheureusement, peu de sources qui sont exploitées. On a une cinquantaine de sources, mais seulement 3 ou 4 qui sont bien exploitées, surtout pour le tourisme. Le tourisme thermal. Tourisme thermal. Donc, on peut attendre, bien sûr, comme il y a une demande sur le tourisme à l'échelle internationale. Donc, au Maroc, nous sommes obligés d'utiliser ou d'exploiter le thermalisme pour le développement durable et surtout, vu que les sources thermales se trouvent dans des régions, dans des villages qui sont pauvres, et si on exploite ou on développe la source thermale, bien sûr, on crée beaucoup de travail, surtout pour le tourisme local. Ça, c'est un exemple. Et bien sûr, il faut aussi moderniser des sources. La seule source qui est vraiment moderne au Maroc, c'est Moulay Akoub, qui a été exploité en 1930 et actuellement, bien sûr, comme vous voyez, il est reloqué. Cette source, elle sort à 54 degrés. Elle est très minéralisée et bien sûr, elle est très connue. Les objectifs, bien sûr, de développement du tourisme thermal, nous avons essayé de bien sûr, il faut augmenter la recette, aussi développer l'infrastructure, pour l'extension de la saison touristique, parce que, comme vous voyez, comme vous savez, le thermalisme n'a pas de saison. Il peut être en hiver, il peut être en été. Donc, c'est pas comme le tourisme, par exemple, des plages ou de la mer, ou de la neige, qui est uniquement lié à une saison. Mais le thermalisme, il peut être selon toute l'année. Bien sûr, l'exposé en anglais, mais j'essaye de... L'aire d'intervention, bon, ça déjà a été dit, donc je répète seulement, ça on le connaît, c'est le développement des services, l'infrastructure, la régulation, tout ça on n'a pas encore. Marketing, développement des ressources scientifiques, la recherche scientifique aussi, donc ça aussi ce sont des choses générales. Bien sûr, que le Maroc, comme les pays méditerranéens, le thermalisme est très ancien et nous avons des cités romains où il y a des bains thermaux de l'époque des Romains. Et bien sûr, comme aussi en Tunisie, il y a l'époque Carthage. Donc ça veut dire que le thermalisme au Maroc, il est très très ancien de l'époque romaine. Et bien sûr, les hammams à l'époque arabe, et ainsi de suite. Bien sûr, scientifiquement, de point de vue scientifique, le thermalisme au Maroc, il est d'origine météorique, et puis il s'est infiltré en profondeur jusqu'à 2000 mètres de profondeur, et bien sûr, il remonte en surface par deux façons, deux manières, soit par faille, par géologique, par faille, ou soit par sondage ou forage. Rapidement, nous avons au Maroc, bien sûr, ça sont des données de mes travaux de recherche que j'ai fait depuis une vingtaine d'années sur le thermalisme au Maroc. Bien sûr, et ça, ces travaux, nous avons fait en partenariat avec l'Université Paris-Sud en France, que nous avons fait ça en l'année 2000. Donc, nous avons quatre faciès de point de vue géologique, le bicarbonaté calcium, et puis le bicarbonaté calcium à forte minéralisation et bicarbonaté calcium à faible minéralisation, et bien sûr calcium sulfaté à forte minéralisation et sodium à forte minéralisation. Ça, c'est les analyses chimiques que nous avons fait. Pour dire que l'eau thermale, elle est météorique, nous avons fait ce qu'on appelle des analyses d'oxygène 18 et de deutérium, et bien sûr, elle saline tous les sources du Maroc, les points, elle saline le long de ce qu'on appelle la ligne régionale météorique. Donc, ça veut dire que l'origine de l'eau n'est pas profonde, n'est pas de la croûte mais elle est météorique, de la pluie. D'accord? La recharge, bien sûr, les recharges nous avons aussi, grâce aux isotopes, oxygène 18, déterminé l'altitude de recharge de eau. Et l'altitude de recharge, bien sûr, ce sont les montagnes qui sont aux alentours de saison. Donc, un schéma rapide, voilà, c'est un schéma, c'est-à-dire un exemple du bassin de 16, la région du Fès, si vous connaissez Fès-Meknès, où on a beaucoup de sources thermales. Donc, comme vous voyez, l'eau qui vient dans les Atlas a une altitude de 1400 jusqu'à 2000 mètres et s'infiltre jusqu'au l'aquifère liasique, c'est-à-dire le bleu, le calcaire, et bien sûr c'est le réservoir principal. Et il remonte soit par faille, soit pas. Alors, minéralisé ou non, ça dépend de son trajet. S'il touche le gypse ou le trias gypseux, il est très minéralisé. S'il ne le touche pas, il est bicarbonaté. Donc, les faciès que nous avons vus dépendent du passage de ces eaux. Eh bien, pour aller de la recherche jusqu'à l'émergence, on a fait des études, des datations, si vous voulez, de 6 jours, dont nous avons calculé à peu près 400 ans, 500 ans entre, par exemple, la goutte d'eau qui tombe sur la montagne pour qu'il sorte à l'extérieur par la faille. Elle a passé à peu près plus de 200, 300, 400 ans. Donc ça, c'est surtout pour carbone 14, carbone 13. Donc ça, ce sont des informations purement scientifiques. Bien sûr, les points faibles, les points faibles et les points forts. Donc, les points faibles, points forts, pardon. Nous avons beaucoup des ressources de bonne qualité. Nous avons l'institution, c'est-à-dire les ministères, etc. L'existence mais des bassins thermaux, développement, relations, tourisme aussi. Mais ce que nous n'avons pas, c'est l'absence, bien sûr, comme j'ai dit, il n'y a pas au Maroc, on n'a pas un office. C'est-à-dire que le thermalisme, il dépend des ministères de l'eau, ministère de la santé, ministère du tourisme, ministère de l'intérieur. Il n'y a pas une coordination. Donc, il faut, ce qu'on demande, nous, dans l'association, parce on demande qu'il y aura un office de thermalisme qui peut être responsable de tous les projets thermaux. Bien sûr, ce sont des objectifs, comme j'ai dit. Donc, ça, c'est une source Sidi Harazem qui est connue aussi, qui est aménagée. Et bien sûr, elle est buvable. Et aussi balnéaire, c'est-à-dire comme bain thermaux. Donc, l'objectif, c'est de développer des spas. Et bien sûr, regardez cette source aussi, les thermominérations. Nous avons des sources de très bonne qualité, comme vous voyez, mais cette source, elle sort à 39 degrés, mais elle sert à l'eau potable, l'irrigation, la natation et tout. Et bien sûr, elle est polluée, il y a pas mal de risques de pollution, et malheureusement, on a pas mal de fois demandé aux autorités pour que cette source soit, mais puisque comme j'ai dit, il y a beaucoup des intervenants, beaucoup de gens donc c'est difficile de faire des projets, donc il faut faire beaucoup de demandes pour que voilà, donc c'est 3000 personnes qui vivent dans cette source. Bien sûr, la modernisation aussi ça c'est Moulay Yacoub qui a fait un partenariat avec Vichy. Donc, il a créé pas mal de jobs, d'emplois, de moderniser. Donc, aussi la modernisation, il peut créer d'autres spécialités, d'autres techniciens. Donc, c'est pour cela on a besoin de moderniser les techniques de thermalisme. Ça, c'est Vichy, à Moulay Yacoub, c'est-à-dire la source ancienne, mais à côté, il y a le moderne station thermale de Vichy, Moulay Yacoub, qui vient d'ouvrir seulement en 2020. Et bien sûr, on a besoin de plusieurs stations comme ça. Et bien sûr, on fait le marketing, on essaye de participer. Ça, c'est Monsieur Humberto, président, qui est venu chez nous à Rabat en 2016. On a fait et puis on s'est rencontrés en Chine. On essaye de faire et je suis venu ici pour bien sûr faire la publicité du thermalisme au Maroc. C'est-à-dire du développement de thermalisme au Maroc, pas la publicité purement financière, mais pour le développement durable et bien sûr pour la population locale. Et merci, thank you, et grazie.
Merci. Je pense que le Maroc a des great possibilities, great potential. Il a un grand potentiel, le Maroc. Mais oui, mais c'est pour ça que Femtec peut aider dans ce sens, oui, et avec les personnes. D'accord, merci.
Ok, grazie a tutti. Adesso abbiamo la presentazione della nostra collega e professora Buledogher del Kazakistan, Solfan, Grazie della tua presenza e della tua partecipazione anche come vicepresidente della Femtec.
Nicola, inglese e italiano, eh?
Sì, inglese e italiano
Sì, sì.
con le slide.
Ok, e dopo presento te. Ok. Slide, prego. Ah. Sì, sì.
Good day, dear ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to report you the working days in pandemic mode in our center. Our center is functioning since September 2007. Today I can proudly say that the center is 15 years old and already has its own, even not a big history. We admit children with psychoneurological pathology from 1 to 18 years of age from all regions of Kazakhstan for 24 days of complex rehabilitation. The capacity is 300 beds. Unfortunately, we all know the world history, how everything...
Non c'è l'inglese.
Нету?
Tu richiami la
Just a
regia che
minute.
c'è.
Yeah. Inglese to Italian.
Scusami Nicola, c'era stato un problema quando abbiamo cambiato la lingua e non era previsto il francese, bisogna rifare un attimino un piccolo movimento.
Sì. Dimmi quando possiamo.
Io mi avviso io.
Okay.
Scusatemi, ma purtroppo è successo un problema di connessione, eh? Infatti mi sa che non state vedendo sotto.
E aspetto un tuo segno. Allora,
Continuiamo solo in inglese.
ok, e per la regia intanto mettimi le slide condivise. Perfetto, intanto iniziamo, poi dopo...
Thank you. Can I continue? Yeah. Unfortunately, we all know the world history, how everything was changed with the advent of COVID-19 in our life. Now I want to tell you our story in pandemic. Government declared a state of emergency in our country from March 16 to May 11, 2020 in prevent the spread of the disease. No entertainment, sports and other public events as well as family and memorial events are allowed. The activities of large non-food retail facilities, cinemas and other places with mass gathering of people were stopped. Restrictions were placed on entry and exit from the country. Our objective was a proper organization of the work process and following the rules of preventing the spread of coronavirus infection in our center during the pandemic. A thermal imaging camera was installed at the entrance to the center to measure body temperature. If the body temperature was above 37 degrees, the employee was suspended from work and was sent to the outpatient clinic at the place of residence. The center was zoned into dirty and clean zones. The dirty zone is the entrance group, the emergency room, the reception area, and the lobby divided by sofas. The clean zone is all the other rooms. Outing of children were held in the territory assigned to each ward for certain hours. Visits of contact with relatives were excluded. Receiving transmission by time, general concert of events and meetings exclude also. On the days of check-in, employees admitted the patient in type 1 anti-plague suits. The employee entrance has been separated to avoid crossing. There was strict ban on visit of patient. Outpatient appointments have the concealed. They cleaned door handles every hour, ventilate the room regularly. Infection control staff conducted briefings on proper use of protective equipment, hand sanitation, and social distance. Medical observation was carried out by measuring the body temperature of staff and patients twice a day. March 2020, on the border of several regions of Kazakhstan, around a number of large settlements were placed day and night sanitary posts, so patients who were admitted in May, we could not discharge, and the management of the center appealed to the Ministry of Health to conduct a course of rehabilitation for this same patient. On the next visit of the number of patients was held due to the prohibition of entry and exit from the city. In connection with this, we received patient from Astana. July 2020, a hospitalization of patient was suspended and the center operated at only 15% occupancy rate for the next 2 visits. No cases of COVID-19 patients were registered in 2020. The center has 488 employees. 28 employees fell ill with COVID-19 in 2020, including 25 cases of COVID-19 plus and 3 cases of pneumonia. 20 of employees were sent to downtime. 10% of the administrative staff was transferred to a remote working method. Part of the staff used their vacation. Infection control staff made a list of close contacts who were in isolation for 14 days. The second wave had no impact on the center activities and they continued to operate as usually. In 2021, 17 cases of COVID-19 were registered. There were no fatal cases. University Medical Center Corporate Fund developed a standard operating procedure in August 2020. It prescribes of following activities. First, on arrival days, admit patient in protective equipment of level 1, keeping a minimum 1 meter distance. On arrival days, organize an additional staff entrance with deployment of a body temperature filter. Children from Astana are to be admitted only if the child and person in care are tested negative for COVID-19 by PCR at least 7 days before admission. For children admitted to hospital without a person in care, the history and additional relevant information should be collected remotely. Classes should be conducted individually in personal protective equipment. The cancellation of the group classes, sections, concerts should remain in force. Every patient with signs of respiratory infection and pneumonia, as well as patients with clinical signs that do not exclude COVID-19, be considered as potentially infected with COVID-19 and not be hospitalized. Strengthening the control of mask recruitment in all structural units of the center. Observe the rules for replacing masks every 3 hours, disposable gloves of the rate of replacement after each patient, antiseptic, disinfectant. Continue regular ventilation of all rooms. The center done a lot of work of vaccinating of employees. Specialists are invited from polyclinics to carry out vaccination. The first component vaccinated 390 employees, which is 82%. 41 employees with medical excuse, and 49 unvaccinated employees. So the National Center for Children's Rehabilitation has also been affected by the pandemic. The staff has fallen ill. The work schedule has changed. There have been a downtime in 2020. Early discharge of patients was 6.2%. 118 patients were discharged before the due date, which affected the bed capacity. Utilization 71.3%, with the due 100%. Due to the stretching measure of prevention and control of sanitary and disinfection regime from March 2020 and July 2021, no cases of coronavirus infection among patients and their parents were registered in the center. I hope we will not face a similar situation again, but together we are strong. We will pass any test. And thank you for your attention, and thank you, our dear Femtec, and our professor, our president, Umberto Salimene, for your support, for your friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Solpan. Thank you for your presentation. Adesso ci tocca la presentazione del professor Dubois. Introduci.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Bukbayeva, for your presentation. It's very, very interesting because I appreciate to effort to find new ways to treat the children in your big center. Congratulations. Very, very important and experience in the pandemic period. Thank you. So now it be honored to me to present Professor Dubois. Professor Dubois. Oh, Professor Dubois.
I am not.
Doctor. Okay. Doctor. Doctor Dubois. Okay. Mr. Mr. Dubois. Mr. Dubois is the president of the European Spa Association and president of France Spa Association. Is a very big, very important person. And Professor Dubois, Dr. Dubois, give a presentation from title Evaluation of Spa Treatment in Psychiatric due to Changing Society. Please, Professor Dr. Dubois, Mr.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. We are going to speak on mental disorders, but preliminary, I may inform you that I am not a psychiatric doctor, but psychiatry is in my blood. I was born with a father who was a psychiatric, who managed our center in France, in southwest of France, near Bordeaux. We have a clinic, psychiatric clinic, and a spa center only for psychiatric disease. So I will explain our experience because it is interesting, I think, to show it to you now. Modern society is affected by various social, political, economic, health, and climatic crises. And human beings are suffering more and more from anxiety disorders, depressive disorders, chronic pain, intense fatigue, and burnout for working people with strong repercussions on their somatic and psychological health. The 2.5 years we have just undergone with the pandemic, which has caused an economic crisis of incredible intensity, have aggravated the depressive syndromes of the majority of human beings. In France, 10% of the population, so more than 6 million people, take antidepressants daily. Studies on the treatment of this patient within the framework of adapted spa treatments have been carried out and have given effective results, as we will see a little further on. Spa treatments with a psychosomatic orientation have existed for a long time, but their efficiency for certain pathology are not sufficiently known by the medical profession, even if since these last years, patients and some doctors are more and more interested in them. However, it is urgent to find alternatives or complements to somatic and psychic treatments. Spa therapy is an efficient and insufficiently exploited alternative. The therapeutic effects of spa treatment on anxiety, sleep, chronic pain, and fatigue are clear and recognized with important results as shown by several research studies initiated by the Spa Center of Sojon in France, including the StopTag study published in 2010 in the journal Complementary Therapies in Medicine. Many somatic conditions induce psychological vulnerabilities and disorders in the same way that many somatic pathologies have important psychological repercussions. The spa treatments alone have already a significantly positive incidence on many psychosomatic and psychic disorders. But it is possible to go further and to make spa therapy a public health priority to answer the current needs of a fragile society by building thematic programs adapted and complementary to the mineral water treatments. All the spa of Sojon programs for different psychiatric pathology have been set up by a team of psychiatrists and psychologists, and I propose to present them to you now. The courses corresponding to these different programs are offered to patients, always in addition to a 3-week spa treatment. They include 6 psychoeducational workshops, each time under the supervision of a psychologist composed of a group of 13 participants maximum, but also spa relaxation stations, individual psychological interviews, and an evaluated follow-up. Sorry. First course, anxiety disorders. The cure is effective on anxiety disorders, and the StopTag study, which is a randomized controlled therapeutic trial involving 237 patients suffering from anxiety disorders, proves it. This study compares the effectiveness of spa treatment with that of a reference drug treatment for anxiety disorders. A significantly stronger effect of the cure at 8 weeks compared to 4 weeks was observed. This means that the therapeutic effect is accentuated over time. We also note that for patients treated by the spa cure, the clinical improvement in anxiety is on average 49% compared to the initial state 6 months after the end of the cure. The percentage of recovery at 2 months is 22 for patients undergoing spa treatment compared to 7.5% for those treated with antidepressants. In conclusion, there was a 3-fold increase in recovery in the spa group. Tame your stress. This course allows the patient to better understand the physiological and psychological mechanism of stress, to identify the factors that provoke it, to understand the links between the level of stress, thoughts, and emotions, to review his life balance, to strengthen his self-assertion, to discover, express, or more in-depth relaxation techniques. This course, in addition to teaching about the causes and control of stress, is based on discussion with the participants. Reducing or stopping benzodiazepines. This course followed on from the SPEC study on benzodiazepine withdrawal in SPA treatment, which was published in 2016 in the journal Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine. This study shows that 6 months after the SPA treatment, 41% of the patients had been weaned of the drugs. 39% had a reduction of at least 50%, and 16% had a partial cessation of less than 50% treatment. Participation in the course must be approved by the treating physician to ensure that the patient conditions allow them to reduce or discontinue treatment. The course includes workshops on the dangers of benzodiazepine, a motivational interview to stop treatment, advice on relapse prevention, and tools to manage difficult situations. This course is covered at 50% by the French National Health Insurance on an experimental basis. Professional burnout. Many people have been affected by a very difficult period, which has been compounded by life identities and personal and professional prospects that are often very complicated, aggravated by the pandemic situation. Working people are feeling a lot of fatigue and weariness. All points of reference have changed. The relationship with oneself, with others, with work, with life, with institutions, with women and men politicians. There is therefore an urgent need to find alternatives or complement to traditional somatic and psychological care, which is becoming more fragile or disappearing in many areas, and which is not always adapted or accessible for many people in pain. Burnout is therefore an example of suffering linked to social modernity and the place our professional identities and over-investment in work take. Little by little, symptoms seen in that become chronic, such as sleep disorders, eating disorders, apathy, memory disorders, psychomotor slowing, cognitive distortions, dark thoughts, and sometimes suicidal thoughts. A survey carried out by Opinionway in France among 30,000 French employees shows that 38% of employers are in psychological distress, and that the number of severe burnouts increased by 25% in May 22 compared to May 2021. In Sojon, this burnout is treated during a 3-week course by combining a complementary group psychoeducation program based on thematic workshops and physical interviews to complement the medical follow-up. This consists of a global treatment aimed at reducing the psychological symptoms on the one hand and those manifested in the body of the other. SPA therapy is an effective, unfortunately not well known, in addition to the cure, a complementary psychoeducation program is carried out in a group setting based on thematic workshops and psychological interviews in addition to the medical follow-up. A study was carried out on 85 patients who benefit from a burnout program at the Sojon Center in 2019. 81% of the patients were women, 84% of the patients were between 40 and 60 years old. 38% of whom were executives. The result of this evaluation highlights the improvement of the 4 most prevalent symptoms of burnout, which are anxiety reduced at 3 months for 79%, antidepressant use reduced to 3 months for 27% of them, the consumption of analgesics reduced to 3 months for 35%. In addition, many of them took anxiolytics, 45 reduced at 3 months, and hypnotics, 60% reduced at 3 months. Psychological suffering at the end of the treatment is therefore significantly reduced at 3 months, as are depressive symptoms. Burnout is one of the diseases that has increased the most in recent years, and a SPA treatment with an adapted program is conducive to letting go of therapy and provides a lasting cure for this widespread work-related illness. Post-COVID, a lot of SPA centers treated SPA COVID, so I will not long. The pandemic that we have been suffering since 2020 has had a very strong impact on human beings of all generations, not only on the somatic level, physical, respiratory, cardiological, and neurological after effects, but also on the psychological level, anxiety, sleep disorders, asthenia, sometimes severe depressive disorders. For this last element, the SPA treatment is very effective. It allows the patient to let go thanks to the SPA treatment, but also to the adaptive workshops and the individual psychological interviews. Moreover, in many countries, the SPA centers have set up cures adapted to all these disorders. To conclude, the psychosomatic orientation in SPA therapy is not very developed, especially in France. In 2019, only 12,000 people out of a total of 582,000 underwent a SPA treatment in this specialty. And in the other countries, it is not much better. However, psychiatric illness linked to the place of our lives are on the increase. The WHO estimates that by the year 2050, depression will be the world's leading disease. It is therefore urgent to make doctors more aware of the effective coactive effect of SPA treatment in this indication for a large number of psychiatric pathology. Thank you very much for your time and question.
Il professor Olivier Dubois, ton frère, oui. Ha costruito degli studi molto interessanti. Direi che le tematiche trattate dai colleghi francesi sono molto originali e rientrano pienamente in quella che è la strategia dell'OMS nel programma Health Worker 2020-2030, che riguarda anche la salute dei lavoratori nel settore della sanità. Pensiamo anche ai problemi che il medico, che è sul fronte operativo tutti i giorni, i problemi che ha di stress ospedalieri, il medico e il personale parasanitario, anche il sanitario in genere. Quindi grossi problemi di stress, grossi problemi che portano poi a patologie importanti. E quindi domani spero che ci sia il collegamento con Ginevra, proprio con Catherine Kane, che è la responsabile di questo progetto, e noi vorremmo lanciare in Italia un altro progetto, utilizzando le terme, proprio il progetto Curare chi cura, cioè anche attraverso le terme, attraverso soggiorni brevi, come alle terme, che possono compensare in pratica questa situazione di stress. Recentemente anche l'Università di Milano ha fatto una ricerca molto interessante che si chiama proprio Uscire dal disagio. Su 7.000 studenti si è visto come gli studenti, di cui la maggior parte femmine era il 29% maschi, eccetera, accusassero proprio un disagio generale psicofisiologico, diciamo. Quindi il benessere mentale è molto importante. E quindi penso che è importante coinvolgere anche gli psichiatri, i psicologi, le terapie complementari in questa offerta di complemento e di trattamento. Grazie molto, grazie. Complimenti a tuo fratello anche, Olivier, che ha detto la volta interessante. Grazie. Bene,
posso sottolineare anch'io, I would like to underline, posso?
Sì, sì.
Parlo anche in italiano, visto che c'è la traduzione meglio. Vorrei ringraziare il dottor Dubois per questa relazione, perché io che lavoro in un ambito riabilitativo, le problematiche psicosomatiche nei pazienti con disabilità, specialmente chronic disability, cronica, disabilità cronica, è un problema emergente, sempre più importante, e incide, determina l'outcome finale, incide sul risultato finale. Noi che siamo stati formati all'università, la mia generazione non è sempre così preparata a considerare, a includere questo problema. Quando noi trattiamo una disabilità, una malattia o una conseguenza della malattia, una disabilità, dobbiamo fare anche attenzione alle problematiche psicosomatiche generali, ovvero quello che si associa alla disabilità, lo stress, le problematiche, l'ansia, l'anxiety, i farmaci, benzodiazepine. Molti dei pazienti che noi trattiamo le prendono, le assumono e noi non lo sappiamo, e questo interferisce nel trattamento riabilitativo, preventivo, nell'approccio terapeutico. Quindi, e infine, ancora una volta, emerge l'importanza di una terapia, di un trattamento globale che includa anche questi aspetti che diventano poi determinanti per l'outcome finale, per il risultato finale. Quindi grazie, dottor Dubois, per questi spunti, per queste riflessioni che penso saranno sempre più importanti in futuro, e le generazioni che derivano, che seguiranno questa pandemia, queste manifestazioni saranno sempre più amplificate, io temo, io penso, e quindi dovremo prepararci sempre di più a questo tipo di approccio. Grazie, thank you very much.
Bene, grazie ancora. Devo dire che c'è un progetto Morfeo, che è stato finanziato proprio dalla FOST, come la qualità del sonno, il miglioramento della qualità del sonno nei brevi soggiorni termali. È un progetto che è in corso, di cui anche fa parte Castel San Pietro come location, una delle location, quindi ringrazio anche l'intelligenza che ha avuto Foster e il dottor professor Vitale, che ha avuto così, che ha promosso e sostenuto questa proposta. Bene, andiamo avanti.
Allora, la prossima presentazione, la prossima conferenza è quella fatta dal professor
Morer,
che è la dottoressa Carla Morer, presentata da Carla Morer di Spagna. Importanti collaboratori anche tutti e due dei congressi della Femtec, che sempre hanno sostenuto e partecipato ai nostri eventi e congressi. Grazie.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you, Professor Solimene, for always taking account of Spain, of this the Spanish Hydrology Society, and also the University Complutense of Madrid, which group we take part. And I must say, it has been always a challenge to be a medical doctor in spa therapy. Bueno. No, well.
Per la regia si prega di mettere la presentazione.
Confidence. C'è un video? Siete un video?
No, è una presentazione.
Cos'è un PPT? È un PowerPoint?
Sì.
Quindi dovrebbe essere qui. No, il video di Copley è già nel sito. Certo.
Chiedo alla regia una verifica.
Parla domani su un altro tema.
Ma voi lo vedete lì sullo schermino piccolo, sul computer?
Sì, sul computer lo vediamo.
No, Nicola, io lo schermo condiviso ce l'ho qui, Sì. Prova a vedere perché infatti si vede nero, vedi?
Sì, qua vediamo schermo nero.
Sì, ma io ce l'ho lo schermo condiviso.
Sì. Certo, sì. Non trovo il video?
Qua noi vediamo. Qua vediamo. No.
No, video. PowerPoint. Lì lo vedete? Sì. Si vede nel computer e non nel coso. Non si può proiettare da lì, da quello?
Credo che sia
qui sul computer si vede, non si vede bene.
Ma qui a posto perché c'è la schermata in quel punto lì, quindi non vedo scherzo condiviso e io vedo bianco. Prova a condividere un altro documento, vedi? Dammi il desktop. Ma mi sa che non stai condividendo. Rifai la condivisione, chiudi e riapri. La tua condivisione non sta arrivando.
Non riesce a
Dopo c'è solo il nigeriano. No, il nigeriano e il greco già mandato nel sito.
Ecco, infatti è arrivato ora, vedi?
Ci siamo.
Qui è regolare, qui è tutto a posto.
So we go back. So our presentation is about the challenge of a new thermalism in Spain. As I said, it has been always a challenge to do as a medical doctors to work in a spa therapy in Spain, because all of these circumstances around the rest of the specialties. But nowadays, I can say after pandemics, which is even more challenging. Balneology in Spain is well known that we have a lot of mineral water sources. So before pandemic, it was 119 spas with all these customers, workers, and this huge invoicing. So it was a well-health sector in space working, as not all of this, of course, it was related to health programs, but there was a huge use of the spas before pandemics. What happened after pandemics? In Spain, we have this the social program. Is not a really health program, it's a social program which allowed the people in Spain to go for 10 or 12 days at the spa. So after the pandemics, the program was stopped. So 2020 to 2021, we have not been people at the spas. So this dramatically affected to thermalism in Spain. So you can see that in 2019, where you have these people coming, like the preview, and almost 200,000 people. It went in 2020 to 10,000 people, and then dramatically decrease in 2021 to 2,000 or 3,000, around 3,000 people. Economically, this also was affected very much to the invoices of all these spa. I can tell you that some of them have no reopen even now, 2022, and some of them have to diversify his treatments and his possibilities because of this huge dependence of this thermalist program, of this social program. So we are going to divide our presentation in three parts: how we adaptate the adaptation of the social and healthcare programs and services offered in Spain. This also affects, I will try to show you, the training of healthcare professionals, which is linked of what Professor Pedro Cantista told us this morning. And another very important thing was, at least this is the best news of our presentation, the research groups which maintain active in about health resort medicine, spa medicine, which I will tell you that it has been even in these 2 years, dramatic to these 2 years, have been active. The adaptation of this after these programs were not active anymore, these social programs, I will explain you how an example of one spa in Spain, which is located in Cofrentes, which is nearby Valencia, which tried to develop, because also in the pandemics, we have this telemedicine arriving even more and more to people, things that maybe before, this is at least one good thing, things that previous to the pandemic was not imagined that we can afford. After the pandemics, we have been able to see that that we have to do something. If people it's not possible to go to the spas, maybe we can arrive spas to people, at least in this period of this period, which we don't know what is going to happen. No? And this is what happens in this spa. Apart from the treatments, of course, balneotherapy, physiotherapy, pain treatment, they developed a plan about prevention and a longevity plan. also this healthy, I will introduce you this healthy and therapeutic exercise continuation outside the spa via this telemedicine or these apps which has been developed. Treatments, we know all the common treatments that we do in spa, but also very important, also Professor Masiero was talking in his presentation about this importance about education, health education integrated in the spas, very important. In Spain, musculoskeletal pain or osteoarthritis, like also Professor Fioravanti told this morning that osteoarthritis is one of the most important indication as well in Spain it is. I can say that maybe here is around 50–60%, in Spain would be also like 80% of the indication of the spa is related to the musculoskeletal pain. So this health education about postural hygiene, psychology of chronic pain also integrated to the spa, and this plan of healthy lifestyle medicine based on nutrition, on respiration and cellular oxygenation, physical activity, sleep, rest and relaxation, emotional health, cognitive health, which is this ambience of the spa, which take a lot of importance. Also this cognitive health prevention and longevity plan. What would we mean about prevention, primary and secondary prevention, which I think the spa also is a really good thing to do all this primary and secondary, which primary lifestyle and all these things is sometimes is difficult from the way of hospitals and primary care centers. And this longevity plan is related to medical history, of course, and interactions of drugs, this huge polymedication that sometimes we have patients at the spas, which maybe is the moment to take a look of this huge medication and see what is really needed or not. Lifestyle history and the introduction even to special tests, genetic maps, telomere measurement, this which is now the microbiota, which is everywhere related or with a lot of diseases related, and especially this action plan and monitoring, which is this Rosita. Rosita is the name of this app project. Rosita, it was designed before like a kind of loyalty program. People which was at the spa can continue what they learn after the spa. But at this situation of the pandemic, at this telemedicine and all this huge representation in South America about new recruitment, new patients, we have never been at the spa and now take account of what is a spa for this kind of projects or app, no? Which they do like this longevity plan from home, daily exercise, daily life classes, life consultations. So it's been like a diversity of the options that you can do after this pandemic, which they spas. This is an example of one place had to do other activities apart after this situation happened. The next challenge, which I like to introduce, is the training of the healthcare professionals. This is the slide of Professor Cantista, which also it was shared to us in the ESMH Congress in Salso Maggiore, where we can see Spain here, which is a specialty until now. But there is two big, huge, two important things. One of it is of this close of the spa. The spas were stopped, they were closed during 2020, 2021. A lot of doctors working there have to move or have to work, these GP practitioners, to the primary care centers, or which was a huge demand of doctors. So a lot of these doctors moved to other sectors, and now they are already used in that, and it's difficult maybe to come back to the spas. This is one thing. And the other thing is that we have a new royal decree in July of this year we have a new regulation of medical specializations in Spain, and there is, medical hydrology is not going to be a specialization in Spain anymore. Is out from this plan. So we are now in a very huge challenge to move that to a competency, like these other countries that we have around us, which have experience, especially, well, all of them, France, Portugal. So in connection with what Professor Cantista says also this morning, this European frame, I think in Spain now, in our condition, is going to be very key, for our development. And now we are going to tell you a bit of good news. Apart from all that I saw before, about the professionals or how our social program went down. We have the consolidation of research groups in health resort medicine. We have Complutense University of Madrid that we maybe or all of you have heard, but we have also in Galicia these two groups, La Coruña and Vigo, also in Extremadura University and all these from Andalucía, which are Almería, Granada, Sevilla. We have published during these 2 years. We start here about the Vademecum. Vademecum is an activity, regular activity with the medical hydrology group, where you can find all the mineral waters of Spain, absolutely this constant composition, indications, and a well update of the doctors and techniques that we are doing at every place. And we have in our group of the medical hydrology group of the Complutense, there is also a huge research about pelloids as physical properties of the pelloids, as a thermotherapeutic agents. Also, we have been published about bottled waters, and also this systematic review about aquatic therapy, or this what we publish about aquatic therapy and thalassotherapy in stroke patients. Also, mechanism of action about this sodium in the chloride-rich mineral water on intestinal epithelium. And this now we move to Galicia, to up the north of Spain, where we have this Universidad de La Coruña, very a well-known group. They have a line of work specialized on sulfurous water. We have Professor Francisco Blanco, which has a lot of in this cellular therapy, and la Profesora Rosa Meijide, which they have been regularly publishing. And we have in these last years this investigation, in even also some pilot or controlled trials, but especially they are in these sulfur waters and what they affect in osteoarthritis or diabetes-associated osteoarthritis. The Vigo group, which is another in Galicia, they have Professor Legido, which they have been experimented in the uses of marine microalga and cosmetics in thalassotherapy. They have published about pelloids for wellness use. And we have in this, also in the Vigo University, these patients also clinical trial about fibromyalgia. We move now to Extremadura University, where they have a really also very innovative group, because they have studied this Professor Eduardo Ortega, which is specializes in the Department of Physiology, and they are really investigated about the mechanism of action of balneology, the stress response, the immune system in very particularly, and a lot of new evidence of how is working. So these patients, especially of course with osteoarthritis, make this group of Professor Ortega a new Professor Mioravanti, also the new review. We had that review of 2011 from how the mechanism of action, why are we here, what is going on when we are in the at bath. So they have now make this actualization, which I really encourage all of you to read it, and this focus on this autoimmune process. Also, in Almeria, as I told you, in Andalusia, South Spain, we have a group in Almeria studying about aquatic therapy, and they are focused on stroke patients with also some evidence. And we have this group of Granada, which is specialized in Professor Rafael Delgado, which are doing a lot of studies about physical properties as well. In the Granada, studying peloids. This is also from Granada about the study of 19 different peloids of all world to see their chemical and their physical properties. And we have as well the group of Sevilla, which have published this review. There is two parts, one of mineralogy, chemistry, physical and psychochemical properties of peloids, and a second part about organic compounds, microbiology, and medical application. So, in conclusions, what is going on in Spain, what happens about spa therapy in Spain? We are coming out a very difficult situation. There are spas that did not open after the pandemic, but spas are health centers. And the function is to improve the health of the patient by treating diseases with our resources, of course, with the mineral waters, but maybe is the moment, of course, to implement health education, lifestyle medicine, and other things that could make this even more powerful. We have another challenge, which is training of the healthcare professionals. We hope to get this competencies training, and we are now very on this to how to move from the medical hydrology specialty to the competency training. And what we have to do is this European frame to work together. And the best news that I have from Spain to all of you is that spa medicine is based on scientific evidence, hence the importance of the consolidation of the Spanish research groups, that they are very active. And thank you very much, and thank you for the presentation.
Grazie dottoressa Carla, bellissimo il lavoro. Adesso ci tocca il professore della Nigeria a fare la sua presentazione, Gargub, il quale è sempre un collaboratore della Femtec, e nel frattempo che lui prepara noi vogliamo dire che tanto la conferenza del professore della Grecia l'ha mandata anche per email e sta nel sito della Femtec, ma tutte le conferenze che abbiamo sentito questa mattina e quelli di domani saranno già nel sito e stanno già nel sito della Femtec, per cui soltanto dovete cliccare e trovate tutti gli argomenti pubblicati. Allora,
comunicazione della regia, un attimo.
Siamo in ritardo.
Comunicazione della regia. La persona può parlare anche in francese e abbiamo predisposto da francese a inglese, se interessa, ok? Mi sentite?
Sì.
Ho detto, se parla in francese la prossima persona, traduciamo dal francese all'inglese.
No, ha detto che va bene in inglese.
Ok.
One moment, please.
Siamo anche in streaming adesso, siamo anche in streaming e sui social media.
Chiedo conferma alla regia.
200 people, we have connected 200 people.
Ok, perfetto.
very distinguished chairs of this session, distinguished scientists in the audience. I stand before you to present a proposal for the development of balneary tourism in Nigeria. Nigeria is endowed with natural land and marine resources, which could host branches of medicine like thalassotherapy, of course. Geological research shows that there are at least 10 unutilized hot springs in Nigeria. The market is there, and our hot springs have the natural geologic egress that meets health resort medicine practice. These are examples of some of the hot springs in Nigeria at very low level, undeveloped status. Partly shown here is the hydrogeochemistry, medical hydrogeochemistry. We have 3 groups that are prominent. We have the chlorosodic, slightly sulfated, and carbonated waters. Of course, all of them are thermomineral. The objective of this study is proposal is to introduce hot spring tourism, balneary tourism to Nigeria in order to support the diversification of the healthcare delivery system, which has balneotherapy as a missing component at the moment, and then promote a culture of inbound medical tourism. These are examples, of course, universal examples of utilization of hot springs in balneotherapy. One motivation is the revenue generating potential of these hot springs that are bound in Nigeria. Even as recreational centers or sports locations for sightseeing, they are already bringing in income. You have to buy tickets. You have to pay to visit the spring just to see it. So we're thinking that by the time they are converted for medical use, they will even generate more receipts. They will create jobs. They will, of course, improve foreign direct investment and improve the general economy of the country, including the local economy of host communities of these hot springs. Even revenue generated from the hot springs, like in item number 4, can sustain and fund greater healthcare delivery. Practical steps towards this project will include development of a conducive environment. Private sector participation is key as well. Security, unfortunately for now in Nigeria, security is not good everywhere. In some places, from central to southern Nigeria, it's okay. But further north, it is not so good. But the good news is only 2 hot springs, 2 thermomineral springs are up north where we have banditry and terrorism in the states of Adamawa and Maiduguri. All others are in safe areas. We need linkages with health resorts that practice balneotherapy across the world, but very especially with professional societies and associations such as Femtec, ISMH, International Medical Geology Association, etc. Distinguished panelists, I would like to emphasize the need for balnear diplomacy. Without your support, countries that are lagging behind cannot grow this very important sector of healthcare delivery. We need more of your visits, more of your intervention to help balneotherapy to develop, especially in countries that are enthusiastic. I have attended several congresses of Femtec, of ISMH. I'm pleading that you should make Nigeria a focal country in your working groups and in your pilot projects. I have come to make this appeal through the concept of balneo diplomacy. Maybe the case is getting bad in some countries, but for us, it is a fallow ground. It is a ground begging for development. Morocco is ahead of us, but we can come up quickly and do better in the balneo tourism and balneo therapy development. Well, we need collaboration, synergy between relevant technocrats. Here I'm talking about medical geologists, balneologists, health economists, tourism experts. Of course, there's global warming. It's a big issue in the world. We propose to develop our balneo tourism sector using friendly sources of energy, photovoltaic, solar energy, geothermal energy around the spring sources, which have high geothermal gradients. In conclusion, there is this great possibility for Nigeria because the resource is there. If you look at the first photo on the left, that is a sulfur-rich bed around a hot spring in Nigeria, in Middle Benue Trough of Nigeria. That is the spring on the right. We have already developed infrastructure, a road constructed, and if you can see the power line on the right side of the road, it was done by Japan Aid, support from Japan. At the moment, we do not have a functional balneo hospital or clinic yet, but we have this prototype model on the picture on the lower right-hand side. So, thanks to the government of Nasarawa State for supporting this new initiative, by extension, the government of Nigeria, and for giving me the platform to come and talk today, Professor Umberto Solmeno and the Femtec family globally. As I step down, we are waiting for you in Nigeria through balneo diplomacy. We cannot do it alone. You have the experience, you have the expertise to help us achieve this. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Now I think all the presentation of this section are finished. I want to thank all the speakers for their interesting presentation, but I want to say some words, very important ones. This morning, Pedro Cantista and after Carla Maurer spoke concerning the lack of balneological doctors. It is, I can say, an European problem. And I fully agree that it is very important to make a reflection very quickly to have a qualification on the European level. And as president of ESPA, we have a medical section. I propose that we participate to this reflection and to help to have the recognition on the European Parliament after. For me, it is essential. Thank you very much.
The session will begin later, the second session, in the afternoon. the afternoon, because 1 hour here, 1 hour, we have 1 hour of break. 1 hour. Lunch in the hotel is like last evening. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Very good. Excellent. Excellent.